Here's really good audio because you're the key person in this one. All right, hey, come in, welcome. Find a posse, come and join us. Come up close, and as people come, they can come in.
We can, spread out as things happen.
Yeah. All right.
So what's the topic? What's the name of it?
Remember
And then we'll go.
change the name, but we never got to.
Yeah.
Originally, it was exposing the truth: black hats, white hats. Who is Q?
Yeah.
The touch on vaccines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I suppose over the last few years, our media have particularly amped up, I suppose, their projection of a particular group of people within our society who they label as conspiracy theorists. And it sort of has a negative connotation to it, and it's actually intentional. The term conspiracy theorist was initiated by the CIA about, I think it's in the mid-40s or something like that. There was a certain scandal that went down within American politics, and the government didn't want the population to catch on to it and spread it around, so they came up with this term to label anybody at that time that was interested in the actual scandal.
Because the government doesn't want anybody thinking for themselves.
That's right.
They want everyone to just follow what everybody else is doing and what they say.
Yeah. So the word conspiracy, so the phrase, I suppose, conspiracy theorist, has now developed into that. Excuse me. I suppose it has, I suppose, a negative context to it. If you are interested in conspiracies, okay. So I suppose I refer to myself as a conspiracy analyst, where through research we seek the truth. And so I suppose, okay, then, well, what is the truth? At the moment, it's probably very difficult to tell exactly what is and what isn't, because we're in a very, very odd construct at the moment globally. There's a lot happening. And I suppose to my understanding, there has been a war, and that war is very unconventional war. No, bombs and missiles and guns, but quite a lot of people dying and two sides. So I suppose what we sort of move into next is, well, who and what are the two sides? And so I suppose whenever we reference war, we're probably kind of like, oh, there's goodies and baddies. We always seem to take a side and whatnot. So I don't necessarily take sides, but I suppose to the simplicity and the ease of this conversation, there's a couple of terms being referenced by the individuals that I follow, movement around the world. And the terminology that they're utilising for this particular construct that we're in is, some of you may or may not remember, but I grew up watching cowboys and Indians, and those old Western movies, and the baddies always wore black hats, and the goodies always wore white hats. Okay, and so throughout this movement that's around the world, I suppose they reference white hats and black hats as the goodies and the baddies. So then we sort of, with that understanding, I was like, okay, well, who are the baddies? And I suppose in a lot of our conversations and a lot of the workshops, we reference they, them. Oh, they are doing this, they do that. Sort of the, who are they? Anyone, who are we sort of talking about when we're referencing the baddies, the black hats, the people screwing our lives? Who actually are they? Does anybody know any names or any of the? Okay. All right. So, to our understanding at this point, the Western central banking system, which is the current monetary system that we, not globally, but nearly globally, work under. So any country that has a World Bank, a reserve bank, that reserve bank is part of the Western central banking system and the global economy. And that was set up. The Western Central Bank is actually a private corporation. It's just a bunch of dudes that started up a company and not accountable to anyone, really. Yeah. And that is the Western Central Banking system that we're currently experiencing the demise of, which I'll go into a bit more. So you may have heard of the names Rothschilds and Rockefellers. They are the original, not the original, but that family bloodline is definitely instigators and part of that whole Western central banking system. And I suppose they're kind of like puppeteers. Now the puppeteers have many puppets, and it's not just those two family names. There are more. I'm not sure of all of them. But organisations like the Bilderberg organisation, which is a global economics alliance, a whole stack of generally fat elderly men that get together with their briefcases and suits every couple of years and plot how to make more money. And generally that's comes from us. It's our money, so how to keep us pacified, but basically working for them. Slaves. So we have the Western central banking system. A lot of their puppets are nation governments. Okay. So it's quite broad, the whole black hat scenario. The United Nations, to our understanding, is has been labelled a black hat organisation. The WHO has been labelled as a black hat organisation. Hollywood is definitely a black hat organisation. Disneyland is definitely a CIA. All the three-letter ones: CIA, FBI, DOJ. That's within American politics. And I will be referencing American politics a bit during this talk, because basically whatever happens in America then ripples through the rest of global society, except for those societies that have very diligently and forcefully forced and fought to stop the Western central banking system infiltrating their sovereign nation. Countries like Russia, North Korea, they have said, no, we do not want your system. And so therefore then what happens is the system then tries to make them look like the baddies. Gaddafi was another one. Hussein was, Saddam Hussein was another one. That they basically said, no, we do not want that Western central banking system entering our sovereign nation state. So generally how the black hats work is, okay, we'll just kill them and do our best to try to take over the country anyway.
They've got the military, the FBI, the CIA, they've got all the systems set up.
And so I suppose the infiltration, it's quite difficult to pinpoint exactly where and how. So you can just sort of take as an analogy, any company. That company might have a board of directors, and that they've then got paid staff, and they might have, say, 500 workers. Okay, now it only takes one or two bad eggs in that whole company to send that company in a direction that may not necessarily have been the original intention of the founders of that company. That's how the infiltration, to our understanding, the black hats have worked. So it's kind of like, we're not saying the whole FBI are all black hats. But it only takes a few up high to totally misdirect the whole original intention of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Okay? That's how they have been working. And they've been doing it in pretty well most governments all around the world, pretty well every bank all around the world. The whole economic structure has been rigged.
And they gave us free choice to be a part of it.
Yeah.
With the Hollywood giving us all the movies to tell us the truth.
Yeah.
And we chose to go under the assumption of
the bullhorn, the mouthpiece for this organisation is mainstream media. All of it. The whole lot. Now, when I say that, it's, yes, there's some very good, hard-working, investigative journalists out there that are actually now assisting expose this information. But most of this information is coming through fired journalists or journalists that have resigned from their position because they're totally fed up that they can't actually voice their investigations that they've done because they're not allowed to say those things. Okay? So our mainstream media, and in that I am saying including the Australian ABC and SBS, right, and ABC Radio, they're all in on it. Okay? In with reference to what I said, that doesn't mean every ABC journalist is a baddie. There's just enough in there to taint the whole thing. Okay? So, who are the goodies? So basically, Anybody? Yeah.
Oh, I said us.
Us. Yes.
Hey.
Very much so. Huge part of it. A huge part of it. But with I suppose the war that we've been in, I no longer say are in, all right, but the war that we have been in over the past 10 years was instigated, to our best of our knowledge and the best of our understanding, very shortly after JFK was assassinated in 1974, I think, or whenever JFK was assassinated. JFK, it's kind of like the way the Western central banking system works is because it's a totally unsustainable, illogical, it doesn't work. It gets to a point where it fails. All right? And so generally at that point, what the black hats do is they create an event. And what that event does is crashes the system. Okay? So we've had World War One, World War Two, we've had the Great Depression, 9/11 was another one, 2008 crash was another one, and we're now in this particular one. JFK Jr. was in the process of instigating a financial system to supersede the Western central banking system called JSARA or NASARA. And I can't rattle off the exact thing, but it's national or global, so G or N, economic sustainable strategy, global economic strategy, something, blah, blah, blah. And what NASARA and JSARA do is they basically, the concept is to instigate a new currency that is backed by yeah.
Look at the globe, and the map of where China is, and they've taken the South China Sea, and then they're coming down through, and then this thing of